Hello everyone, and welcome back to our Porch Goose series, where we are taking a porch goose and giving her a different costume every week, and we are going to just draw her and paint with watercolors together. If you are new here, I hope that you enjoy it, and make sure to go backwards. I think this is the 5th one in the series. So we're having fun with that. Today we're going to paint this one. So we've got our porch goose, mine is named Marion, in a costume. So in this case, it's a rain jacket with an umbrella and a nice little shadow. We're gonna do some line work at the end, and I think it'll be fun. So I do have another goose shirt on today. This one's just from Five Below. So if you're at Five Below, check it out just for fun. And we'll go through supplies and everything, but if you haven't already, we do have a free printable for this one where you can trace a little goose, and we'll start with tracing and then we'll draw in her costume from there. It also comes with things like a little quote, surround yourself with people who feel like sunshine, and then these little gift tags as well. So you get a little free printable there. And we're going to make sure that we're cozy and that you're comfortable in your space. If you need a snack, grab it. If you need to cut the wick on your candle, just do it real quick. It's worth it. There we go. We'll light our candle. I have a heated blanket on because I work downstairs in my house and it's just always a little colder. Got my candle lit. Make sure you have something to drink. Today I've got electrolytes. And we will turn around the camera and I will show you supplies to get started, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's get started with some supplies. So we have got our watercolor palette here, and I like to use a size 10 round watercolor brush. This one's Winsor & Newton. I have all the supplies linked below. A regular old pencil. I just like a number 2, just regular. A kneaded eraser. Some kind of ink for the end. I'm going to be using an ultra fine point Sharpie. And then make sure that you have water and a towel. I actually have just like an old towel and a jar of water that I've already dipped into, because you can tell because it's yellow. And then if you have a little spray bottle, that's great to use for your paints. And I have this heat tool as well, or if you have an old hair dryer, that's great. Make sure your candle is lit and you're cozy. Maybe you have a heated blanket today like me. And then make sure that you have your template as well from the free printable. And we will go ahead and get started, like always, with observing first. So anytime you're doing any artwork, just taking a minute to look at where you're going is always super helpful. So we have, this is my porch goose, Marion, and we have our template that we'll start with, but then she today is dressed up for the rain, and she has her rain jacket on and her umbrella. In the actual costume, the umbrella is kind of like hooked onto her, you know, because it's a costume. I kind of opted to not do that today, but if you choose to, that's great. I changed her eyeball on one of them. You can always change the eye. I'll probably keep it simple for our tutorial today. And we're working with yellow, but it's not exactly just yellow. If you look to, you know, see that yellow right here? Ours is a little bit more of an orange yellow a little bit. And it just changes it just a little bit. Or yellow can be kind of hard to work with, so I like that change. I think it helps us get into a bit of a darker color because we're kind of getting into burnt sienna a little bit in there, and that's helpful. I didn't make sure that these match perfectly, and I'm totally fine with that. If you want them to match, you'll just use the same exact color puddles. And what you'll notice is that, okay, we're going to sketch the goose, but we're going to erase the outside lines of her. So when we draw that, we'll be real careful to draw lightly. But then when we get into it, you know, my favorite way of teaching is really to paint this whole thing as one, and then we'll be loading in our darker color and maybe doing some lifting. Not as much lifting today because we don't want really, really light color, but we're always kind of doing that. So in this, you can see where we've got shadows sort of behind or underneath of this collar. And then on this side, so we can tell that our light source is over here because the highlight is on the left, the shadow's on the right. And then within, like inside of the sleeves, you can see that darker color as well. And then just some of these lines that we see created onto this jacket make it just look like a jacket. And that's it. I just looked at the reference, looked what I saw darker and then loaded that in. And I really like the shading on her body. So let's make sure that your shadows get dark enough. And we've got our shadow down here. It's the drawing might be a little bit harder today, but the painting is sort of all within one color family, and I think it'll be a great one. So let's quick see if there's any differences that feel important here. Not much. Ours are all going to turn out differently, and I think that'll be great. I can't wait to see them. So I'll move this one out of the way and work with the one that's the same size, and we'll begin as always by using our little template here. I'm going to place her down towards the bottom. If you want to take a screenshot of this shape because you're not going to use the template, go ahead, take a screenshot, maybe pause and just get her drawn on there. For the rest of us, you can just put your fingers down, hold her in place, and we will press really lightly around the edge of her today, remembering that we are erasing a lot of her body because we'll be like drawing outside of it because the jacket is bigger. So nice and light, but get your shape on there. And almost done. Okay, and then once you got her there, you can move your little template out of the way. And we want to do a couple things always. One is look at your beak and see if you, like, we're going to make a line. So we divide out that shape. And if you wanted to bring it in a little bit, sometimes because we're tracing, we go like wider than the kind of ideal shape, I guess. But that's up to you. You're always using your own, like, you know, opinion on that. And then down here, we'll take this bottom line. So this is the front foot, right? So it's going to come up and all meet all the way at the feathers, which we haven't drawn yet. So I'm coming up. I'll wiggle it a little because I like that line. And then we'll close off that front foot. And it actually just comes straight to this line we already made. Okay, nice and simple. If you wanted more details, go for it. And we're not going to draw that shadow. Let's stick the eyeball in there though. Nice while you've got a pencil. You can make sure you like it. And now we're going to begin. I would say let's do the jacket first and we'll do the umbrella second. And we're going to start with some dots first to kind of see where we're going. I think that will help us today. So if you look at the goose, let's see here. We're going to start at the collar instead. I think it'll be helpful because it'll give us this top and we'll see where to drop it down to. Okay, so starting at the collar, first of all, just look, it's coming around the back of the neck. So that's why we have this part and this part here. It needs to look like it goes all the way around. So let's make sure we give a good amount of neck here. Let's see, I can put my thumb down under her beak and you can kind of see where it lands. You know, we're going to be working a little bit above it. That's just like a little eyeball for it. We're going to pick a spot. We're going to come kind of both directions. See that? And that's going to help us a little bit. And it might be helpful to draw this line on kind of the front of her body for a second. Press lightly because you don't know exactly where you're going to want it. But see how I'm following this line? And I'll curve it a bit and let it start this way. But don't finish that because it really follows the edge of the jacket, which we don't have on. I know this is a weird start. It'll get better, I promise. And then from here, we're going to take the front of that collar and kind of bring it in and down. Now, everybody press real lightly today. See this top? We got to have it come sort of down to the right and curve, and it'll kind of meet in the center, which is this is the front of her body, okay? This is wonky. It gets better soon, I promise. But we're doing just kind of that part, and then we're going to use what we've got. So we did this neckline right here, okay? And then we want to get the bottom. So I want to start with this collar, the full collar, before we move on from that. So where's it going? Look, it's kind of far down. I'm going to try to stick it kind of like here and come down to it. But we are going to all be shifting things as we get the rest of the jacket on too, so this will not be perfect. This is the beginning. This is how we let it start out wonky. Okay, you can pause it if needed. I think with this drawing, I could take 3 hours on it, getting into like the minutia. But in the end, what's helpful is that you watch it step by step. And so then you can just pause it and get this little part in and then move on. And we kind of work in order like that. So hopefully that's helpful to you. So we kind of get this in here. The jacket's coming this way. Now let's start with this. See how I've got some space under the collar? I can take this and it's going to start that arm. I'm going to try to look at this one and guess where I'm going. If it's wrong, we'll just erase and that's okay. So I'm going to go like maybe, look at this shape that it's creating right here. Okay, and that's helpful. Let's go maybe like down, I don't know, here. And I'll take this line out. If this is weird, I erase. So everybody who's worrying that they're not getting it right now, it just doesn't matter. You're like, just plan on moving it in a minute. But you can't know how to move it unless you start to see something, okay? So this one, we're going to follow that part of the body that comes out. And then let's look where we're going. Kind of like it's going to come down this way because the jacket's going to hang, right? Let's maybe go here. It's a little bit above the bottom. Here, I'll come up a little bit. Above the bottom of her feathers. And I'm just going to try, see what happens when I just connect that line. And that's how we know. You just let it start wonky, guys. And then I want to also find this edge of her jacket. So notice I can still see her feathers. I don't want to cover them because we really like seeing this part of the body. So I'll come up to here. And then let's look at the bottom. It's like, if I created straight lines, I'd go 1, 2, and then maybe a little up and across, or this could just be straight. So 1, 2, 3. That might give you just a little bit of help in it. I'm going to look for this part so that I don't cover that up. So this will be part of my line that I'm going to use, which means I might come up. So if I did straight lines, it'd go 1, 2, 3. And I can start with that, and then I'll soften up those edges and erase my bits that come out a little too far. Okay, I'm going to just curve them just slightly. I mean, it's a jacket, so it would kind of have some edges, but, and then this back line, look at that, it just kind of lumps out just a little bit. It's a bit of a wiggly line, but really it's just the back of the jacket. So you don't really need to wiggle it, okay? But I took that, it's above her body, a little bit bigger. And now I kind of want to erase the goose's body because that's just extra lines we don't need. So let's get them out of here. And the same thing that goes through that collar. Starts feeling better because it feels a little bit cleaned up. Like, all right, we're getting somewhere. So it's still wonky, but hopefully it's getting less wonky. And from here, we are going to start to put in her arm. Okay, so notice where it starts to the left of the point of her collar. And then this part, look at this, there's a little bit of space between the top of her sleeve and the back of her jacket. So if I were to kind of put dots where I see that stuff, that's going to be helpful. And the same thing over here, you can guess, look how big this is. It's about as big as her foot, right? From like left, like this part of her jacket. And I think that's a helpful little tool. We already kind of have this line, so I can see it's a little bit over. It's about as wide as the foot. Great. And this right here is just going to give me enough to start with, which is all we need. Then I'll take this kind of straight down. You can curve it a little bit if you want. And then this one is kind of down to the bottom right of your paper, a little curve, and another line here. So always looking back at that reference, because I don't know how to memorize this stuff and pull it out of my head, you know. Look at the top of her sleeve. It's a big wiggle. It's almost like it would be an M if it was, you know, more accentuated. So we're going to come up and curve a little to this end. Don't worry about the bottom yet. Great. We might change it. We might not. Okay. I'm going to make mine just a little wider. And I'll erase what I don't need here. Just a little wider, great. And I'm going to come like this, as if this is going to be a pancake shape. And from there, I want to stick her wing in. I don't want her wing to go all the way to the edge of the jacket. I like to see that yellow jacket in between. So I'm going to go right here. That's going to be the tip of her wing. And let's bring it out. And where's it going? It's going right here. And then we'll just have this curvy line to get there. Oh, she's cute. She's a cute tee. I think this one might be a little long compared to this one. And I think my jacket might be shorter than this one. Like, you know, it's all, so we're working with what we have. So I'm going to shorten this one just a hair because I think that that works with like the small changes I've made without even knowing it. I think that's going to make more sense over here. And then same thing, let's put a dot where we're going. And just kind of curve it in. She's a cutie. I like it. I want to wiggle this line a bit because it's like a little cutie goose bottom with feathers, you know. And I like that a lot. We're doing good. I'm looking through the whole jacket for a moment. Now, I don't really want you to put a lot of lines in there as guides for your shadows because we're working with yellow. You don't want to see a lot of pencil through here. If I did, though, it might be here. You can just sort of take note of these darker lines, some spaces that create shapes. Okay, that's just for observation, but we'll leave that. I'm going to get rid of this line through her neck. So if you've got that, get rid of it. And we're going to get onto the umbrella. Now the umbrella could cause you like a minor panic attack. Okay, or we can just go, we're going to just draw what we see and wing it. And it's not supposed to look like a, you know, a picture of an umbrella. So all I'm going to do is look, where do these lines intersect the head? The head is my guidelines, and we'll start with that. So right here, a little bit above her eye, you see this line goes on, it's almost like one goes straight through. Great, we'll take it. Look how much further it goes than her beak. Okay, so we're going to start out maybe here. Let's put a dot. How far? Put a dot and connect them. Same thing here, you know, it doesn't go too far. Just make a guess, maybe like this. I'm drawing lightly for a moment because, you know, this could need some zhuzhing. I could see that happening. Now, kind of above the eye, but just slightly to the left, we see that these two just meet. So let's do that. This one's going off towards that right corner of my paper. It's not very far though. It's a little shorter than these. And this one has a bit of a curve to it, and it's going this way. Just a little bit. Don't do major curves. Don't do perfectly straight lines. What else do I see? I see this one intersecting right at the top of her beak, but coming out further than the previous one. And I think this one might be a little long. So press lightly. Right here, like this, I think. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're doing amazing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means we've got this one here going really towards the bottom corner of the paper. I mean, really the line would end, just to show you. Look at this one. Just above it. Oh, there you go. If you made sense of that. So that would be kind of like this, using my pencil to kind of get that line. It's kind of short. Everybody's winging it. It's okay. This one's going to come down this way. I think I've got just a bit right there. So this is the spokes. We're going to try to connect them. Let's look at it first. See how they're kind of very slight curves. Nothing's perfectly straight, but there's no major scoops either. Okay. And you get it that it's an umbrella. That's all we need today. So I'll take these and I'm going to just connect them with just barely scooped lines. Barely anything. Okay. And in a minute, if you're like, that looks like a hot mess, then you'll just make some little tiny adjustments. You might want to take a picture of this or just come back to it. There we go. Looks kind of like an umbrella. I did play with this a lot, you guys. Listen, I was like messing with it for a while, and then I was like, we're just going to leave it simple, because then honestly, you won't worry so much about it either. It's got its little handle coming this way, and remember, this whole thing would be like attached to her head because it's actually just a little costume. So don't worry about that too much, but it's going to come here, kind of this way, a little further than the, I don't know, the main part of the umbrella, and the handle's going to swoop up, not touch, and scoop back down. You can do the black part of it if you want to be like a little separated here. And honestly, we don't even have to lighten the pencil lines here because we know we're doing black paint over it. So you don't really have to clean that up either. Let's do these little tiny circles though at the corners. I think that's very umbrella-y because we know how an umbrella works. So that kind of helps to And I think don't overthink it, but if you need an adjustment, now is the time while we're working with a pencil that has an eraser versus, you know, paint. Okay, this is the sketch. I'm not going to draw the shadow, but you can if you want to. And let's just see if there's anything else we're missing. This is your time to check over. I brought this line all the way down. And double checking everything. Make sure these kind of connect around the wings. And if your pencil got real dark or weird anywhere, lighten it up a bit. We are working with yellow, so we remember if there's any pencil lines on the inside of this jacket that you do not want to see later, let's get rid of them now. And we will start to mix our paints. So if you have this same paint set as me, great. If you don't, it does not matter. We just need some basic colors today. I'm going to take this spray bottle and spray the paints. So that's just these, and I'm not spraying my puddles. I don't want them to all touch each other, you know. So I've got that done. I'm going to grab my paintbrush and move my water closer. Just get everything comfortable. I like to leave my water, my paints, and my towel all on, I'm right-handed, so all on my right side like this. Let's see. So that I'm never going back and forth with water over my painting. It's kind of a random one for you. Okay, we need some kind of a very light gray. So let's start with that because it's kind of an easy one. I'm going to get my brush wet. I'm taking my brush and I'm going to just grab my black paint. For me, that's the top right corner. One little swipe, come over here, because for this one, and then I'm going to add water to it and make that a really light gray puddle. Black goes a long way, so you barely need any paint. It's mostly water, okay? And you'll make a little puddle of that one. I am cleaning out my brush, and I want to get this. We'll do, how do we want to do this? Let's start with a good yellow. So I actually don't really want lemon yellow this time. I want this one, which is called cadmium yellow. If you're working with a small paint set, it might be like yellow plus the teeniest bit of orange until it's a nice color that makes sense to you, that it would look like rain boots. Whatever, rain boots. I mean, and you don't have to do yellow. If you'd like to do blue today or something, that would be adorable as well. So I'm grabbing this color here and making a puddle. A reminder to you that it's not a puddle if it doesn't have water in it. So let me get closer. This has water. I can move it around easily, okay? Then the second thing is to get our color lighter, we add water. So if this color is darker than what you want to see, go ahead and add water to it. You might need to clean the pigment out of your brush. Then another thing is, this still isn't that. I want it to lean towards orange just a little. So I'm going to grab just a little bit of orange and add that in. Now, when you're adding in orange, you can add these oranges. You could add a little bit of a darker orange. You could add burnt sienna. You have all these options, but realize that as we look at this, we are mixing like this color. We're going to go in a minute with a color that's more like this. Okay. So, that's that. And then let's mix up a couple things on here. Let's mix up our orange so that you can see what this looks like next to your orange and you make sure you like it. So I'm going to grab just from this really basic one. This is just orange yellow. So at home, a little more orange into your yellow, and that's what you'd get. And I like this. It's good. And honestly, I don't even want to change it. So if you want it darker, just put a little bit more paint into your puddle. But make sure that that's a good color that you like for the feet and for the beak. And now I can see that they're different. That's all I want. I don't need them to be that different. I'm not concerned about that. But if you are, go for it. If you don't like how this looks and you like to see a balance of cool and warm colors, maybe you're adding, maybe the umbrella is blue or something, right? Maybe get something on the opposite side of the color wheel. And really quick, the color wheel looks like this is from our 30-day series. If you haven't found that one, that's what's really helpful. But because we're living in here, if you did something over here, you'd balance it out quite nicely with just color theory. So we've got this. Now we're going to need this darker color. And remember, I said we could use burnt sienna. So I'm going to start with very similar to what I was already using, maybe a little bit of orange in it. Okay. And getting that color that's very similar to this, but I have less water. And now I'm going to get into my burnt sienna and see what happens is right away it darkens it up. Maybe too much, like that's up to you. You got to look at it and see what you think. But we are going to want some darkness in there, really to kind of just establish those shadows. Yellow's tricky, so this is the way we're doing it today. There's lots of ways. And once I've got that, I feel pretty good. We are going to start with our light gray. I think we'll dry it real quick and then work on the beak and feet, and then we'll get into the jacket and we'll go to the umbrella afterwards. So I'm going to move this out of the way a little so I can zoom in for you. We are at painting time, so make sure you like your puddles and you're comfy, you're relaxed, and we'll start to get some color on our paper. So I cleaned my brush out. I'm going to get into that light gray puddle that I made, and I want to do a little bit of a shadow on the body. So I'm going to do that on the right side of the head and neck. And my challenge to you guys is, like, I've seen your artwork by now, right? And some of you, I cannot see that shadow. So darken it up just as much as feels comfortable to you. You are the one who has to decide if it looks good or not, right? But why do it if you can't see it? So I got a little bit of that, and then this is the reminder. You can always clean your brush and dry it and use that damp brush to soften up your edges so you don't have this harsh line. Now I kind of lifted up some paint on accident when I did that. So maybe you also are like, you know, it kind of needs it over here because of this collar. Then great, you figure out where there might be a shadow, and this is just a little game for you to play, right? And then you stick that in there. And we don't usually do this, but let's do the shadow on the body at the same time, just for fun, to see if we like doing it now or not. I am putting a little bit more black paint into my puddle and getting it darkened up just a bit. And then I'm going to take that brush and I'm coming right behind the feet, coming out to the right here, and I'm just going to create a shape that gets rounded out somehow in the center here. Okay, that's good. I'll clean my brush. I'm going to tap it on my towel so there's not so much water on it. And then with that brush that has just a little bit of water, I'm running that along the edges of my shadow. Great. I just wanted that nice soft line that sort of fades away. And the reason I did this now is so we could give this a good dry and all of our gray is dry and we can continue working. I think it's a little bit fun to see it with that gray, just that gray. If it's dry, you'll know because when you look at it, you don't see the light reflecting. And let's move on. So I will now, look at, I just bent it. Don't do that. Okay, I'm going to clean and dry my brush, and then I'm going to dip the first third of my brush into my puddle of this orange right here. First third of my brush, I got that ready to go. Not too much water or I won't have control. And I'm just going to fill in the beak and the feet. And then I might add a little bit of darkness to them as well. So just kind of coloring book style for a minute. Whenever you're working with two things next to each other that are the same color, consider them one. So I painted this as one. There's no white between. It's one thing, right? From here, I'm going to clean my brush and dry it and then lift up that excess. There's just a little bit of excess. I just grabbed it with my brush. And now I went right into my paint for a second, just so I could get a little bit darker. And I like to do this one, where I just darken up the edge of the feet. Can you see that a little bit? On the bottoms, and then I darken that back leg. Like it's just a little bit more, it's further, it's a little bit in the shadow. And then same thing on the bottom half of that beak. It's just little things like this that I think add up. So like I just cleaned and dried my brush. I'm going to lighten up the top of the beak, and that'll give a nice highlight right there. Okay? You doing okay? You could lift a highlight out of the front of this leg if you wanted. The front of that foot. You know, always play with it. See what you think. Mess around with ideas. Okay, if these are dry or wet, actually, we're not going to work next to them, so only dry them if you want. We're going to work on the jacket next, so just make sure you don't touch those if they are wet paint. And so this is the part where you are going to need to work efficiently. I'm going to quick tell you, and then we're going to do it. So we will take our main color paint that we created, our puddle of yellow, and we're going to fill in this whole jacket. So you have to work somewhat quickly, otherwise up here is going to dry before you even get to this. So we don't want to do this where we are really small. Like, watch, I'll do it with the paint. We don't want to work like this, real tiny with the tip of your brush. We do want to work like this, leaning into your brush, because look at how much more effective that is and fast than doing this, okay? So, and then while that is still wet, and we'll know it's wet because we'll see the light reflecting on it, then we will start to add in darkness where we see it. We'll be chunking in some color, okay? Don't worry too much about highlights unless your color got really dark today. So everybody get comfy in your seat and relax your shoulders a bit and mix your color up. Make sure it's still looking good to you. I'm taking about the first half of my brush full of paint, and I will start up top. I'll work sort of top to bottom, left to right, since I'm right-handed. And use the tip of your brush around the edges, but lean, so press into your brush for the anything in the middle where you just can get a bigger brush. And that's really how you make your brush tiny, is less pressure, and how you make your brush bigger, it's all pressure. That's just, it's funny, but that's how you use a paintbrush. It's pressure. I wish in the beginning people would say things like that when I learned to paint. I'm like, oh, that's a good point. It really is pressure. And it is making the tip of your brush tiny, like this, or big, like this. I talk about these things in the 30-day series. So if that's all new, you can find that there. Now, it's all wet and glossy. If I've lost control and it's puddling or pooling anywhere, I'll take a clean, dry brush, right? And I'll just lift some of it up, just a little bit. Only if it's puddling or pooling. Otherwise, this is what we want. See how shiny and reflective? Awesome. I will take the tip of my brush into that puddle of darker color that we created. And while it's wet, I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start adding it in. Now, if I'm losing control immediately, I have too much water or too much paint on my brush. Okay, you can touch your brush to the towel and keep moving. If it's already dry, I didn't have enough water. So you can actually kind of just go right over the whole thing again with some water, or with some paint, sorry. Water, paint, kind of same thing. And get it wet again. Look, I just went into the booty. Whoops. But right now I'm just looking, where do I see darkness here? So you're looking at it with me. You've got it right there on the screen. Your eyes should be back and forth from that to your goose. And this will be kind of round one. Think of it like that. Now I want you to go into one of your darker colors while it's still wet. So you're working quickly here, but you've got either this mustard color or this burnt sienna. Darken it up one more time real quick. Grab from that. Keep loading it in. A little bit more darkness. So wherever you see the darkest here, which is under the collars and on the right side of this one, in here a little. Now you can wait till it's dry and you'll have better control. This will stay where it belongs, or you can be risky like me and hope it doesn't bleed too much. But you can add this darkness wherever you want to see it. If it's too much, your color's too dark, like mine might be, you can quickly adjust. Mine maybe is. I think I should, look, I'll do it. I guess if I'm saying it, I should just start doing it. There we go. It's a little bit lighter now. All I did was take some paint off my brush, really. And we're all just looking at it. Now, if yours goes into this, I would say usually don't try to clean it up yet, because every time you do that, you're introducing water here and it'll just flow right into it. So it's better to let it dry some first. And now look at it. Just keep looking at it. Take your colors that you've got on your palette, and you're just thinking, I'm chunking these colors in. Wherever I see darkness over here, I'll copy that by loading it right in. One thing I like about wet on wet, once you've got the water ratio figured out, which I do know is hard, but once you get it, it's like you don't have to worry exactly where your lines go. There's a little bit of looseness to it that I think is freeing, in that I don't need to know exactly how this should go. It'll just flow a little bit and we'll work with what we see. I think this is pretty great. I hope you're liking yours. Just a reminder, if you're frustrated and you're not liking it, do it again. Instead of quitting, do it again. And the same thing I heard in the beginning of my painting was, if you want to get good at rocks, paint rocks. If you want to get good at trees, paint trees, and paint a lot of them instead of going around and doing flowers, trees, rocks, butterflies, everything, you know. Okay, so now that's good enough, and I'm okay with letting it be. So I want to get up to the umbrella. I will show you the umbrella doesn't have much definition. Play with it a little. It's maybe a little darker in some areas, but I really left the umbrella a little bit simple so that we don't overthink it or worry about it too much. Mix your color so that you like it. Don't ever work with a puddle that's just like bleh. Just kind of quickly mix it. It's always good to start with your colors in puddles first, but you can always quickly mix your puddles while you're working. Now this is way yellower. I kind of like it. If you don't, you know, add in the other color, the burnt sienna or the yellow ochre or darker yellow. And then I'm just kind of darkening up within these just a hair, like not much. If you didn't do this, I think you're okay. Sort of darkening in these umbrella sections just a little bit. Whatever this is good because we're also going to go in with that black ink and it's going to really change things up. So we need to dry this fully and then we'll paint the umbrella and we're ready for the ink. I should have done it on camera, but I just took a little bit of a wet brush and cleaned up this line. Remember how my paint went over? And I remembered that I actually didn't do much of a shadow here and I wanted it. So I'm taking my gray paint and just, you know, that jacket would create a shadow a little bit, depending on where the light is, I guess. So I added that in. Okay, you can see that a little bit. And then now I'm going to darken my gray paint just a hair and fill in this. Ooh, that looks black. And since it looks so dark, I'm just going to go ahead and do this one. So you need black for the handle. And then a gray for like the post. So I just cleaned and dried my brush. And honestly, I'm just taking a wet brush to it to lighten that up. And if you wanted this darker in the end, you could use your ink to clean that up too. I think this looks simple and could feel hard, or it could look hard and feel simple. I think it could go either way. Make sure it's fully dry. I'll do that one on camera real quick. You never really want to work on top of wet paint because your black will get fuzzy. It's just, it's frustrating because you do this whole work and then your last thing is like, what? We don't want to be frustrated here. We like being happy. Okay, I am going to now just go over my pencil. You can always clean up your shape slightly. So you want to cover your pencil, but also kind of move it just a little bit. And I think it's fine if you see both. So I'm going to start with her face. And, you know, if you want to see a little bit of a different shape on her beak, these tiny movements will add up. And hopefully you'll love what you see. It's funny, now that I did this eye, I'm like, we really should play with these eyeballs, but mine's simple. You guys, I can't believe the stuff you guys do for your backgrounds and your details. It's so fun to watch them. We share those on our Facebook. My Facebook page is Audrey Shantz Art. So follow that one if you're not. And then there's a group where we share our artwork called Audrey's Art Club. And a club just sounded like a fun way to call that one. So that's where, because you can't do pictures here on YouTube. Otherwise, we would just do them right here in the comments. So yeah, we've got that one, and everyone's so encouraging and just like shares their artwork, and I love it. And I'm wondering, when you go out, do you bring an umbrella? I do. I'm an umbrella girl. I don't want to get my hair all wet. So I have umbrellas in my car all year round. But I want to know, do you bring an umbrella? Do you have like a rain jacket? Like, essentially, what's your getup that looks like hers? I had a downtown shop where I sold my artwork for 3 years, and it was so fun. And so when I started working downtown, I had to walk, like you have to park, and then I had to walk to my car or to the shop. And so I got myself a rainbow umbrella, the kind where every one of these is a different color. So cute. And I was like, that feels right for the artist to be walking to her shop with an umbrella that looks like the color wheel, essentially. She's cute. Doesn't she seem a little off balance today? I don't think she is, but she looks like her legs are far back. I think it's just because the jacket comes forward. I hope you liked doing this one today. I've got a couple more fun ones. I think we've got 3 more in this series. Ugh, what a cutie. Okay, make sure you sign your artwork. If you're making art, you're an artist. And can't wait to see your work over at Audrey Shant's Art and then at Audrey's Art Club. And I can't wait to see, like, did you do this color or not? You guys are so fun. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you next week.